there, friends. Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library. And Estaldo and I are here today to talk to you about some fantastic books that we are just absolutely enamored with. And we hope that you will also be excited to read them as well. So the first one is a fairly new book, and it's actually a historical fiction book, which is always really fun. And this is called A Place to Hang the Moon by Kate Albus. A Place to Hang the Moon. I didn't do any research about this book or even read too much about what it was about before I picked it up. And I'll be honest, see those books in the windows of the cover? That was what made me pick this up, because I was like, you know what? If this is a book about books, I want to read it. And I was absolutely rewarded by jumping in like that, because it is a phenomenal, phenomenal book. So this book takes place in during World War II in 1940. And it has to do with these three children who happen to be orphans, unfortunately. Their grandmother has just died. There's Edmund, Max, and Anne. And their grandmother, who was raising them because their parents are already died, well, the grandmother passed away. Now, the problem is they don't have anyone now to look after them. So their caregiver, the person who is in charge of their estate, decides the best thing for them to do is to be sent into the countryside with all the other children who are going to try to escape the bombing. So that was a thing that happened a lot during World War II, is kids from families that lived in the cities were sent to live in the countryside with strangers for weeks or months or even years sometimes, until the bombing and everything stopped. And that's a real thing that happened, and that talks about this a little bit in this book. But the thing is, the orphans in this story don't have a home to go back to because their grandmother passed away. But they haven't told anybody that because they're afraid of being separated. So they get picked up by this family who on the surface seem okay, but deep down it's really not. The kids start to go hungry a lot. The foster brothers that they live with are really mean and just bully them all the time, and things just don't seem to be going really well. Well, then they discover the lending library and the librarian there, and they become friends with her. And they get, excuse me, all these different books from her that help transport them to different worlds to make their current situation seem a lot better. And that is such a great magical thing about books. It's one of my favorite things about books, actually, is that a book can take you anywhere in the world or beyond the world, and you don't even have to leave. No matter where you are in your current circumstances, if you read a book, you can escape or jump into it. Doesn't always have to be an escape. It could just be something fun you want to experience. In any case, the three kids completely fall in love with this librarian and this library, and it helps them get through this really hard time. The other problem is the librarian has a German husband. And so the people in town treat her really poorly because of the Germans obviously being on the wrong side of the war. And that was also a thing that happened a lot in World War II, especially in England and also in America. Families that had German ancestry were started to be treated very badly by other citizens because of their heritage and because of who they were married to or their family situation, no matter how loyal they were. So the kids and the librarian have to deal with this as well. So this story is just this beautiful, heartwarming tale. I loved it so much. Yes, the kids had to go through some really hard times. I don't want to give away the ending, but it is a good ending. It's a happy ending. Everybody ends up okay. So you don't have to worry about that. But it is a beautiful story about not only family, but found family, which is the people that are in your life that you choose that can become your family, like your friends, right? That you just can love so much that they become like a family. And that's what this book is about, and finding that love and acceptance in other people. And obviously it's also about books and how awesome books and librarians are. So, of course, I love this book. But really, it's a fantastic story. If you like historical fiction, if you like reading about World War II, or even if you're just looking for something different and new, A Place to Hang the Moon. Beautiful story. Now, the next book I want to talk about is actually a series of books, and it's a graphic novel series. And this graphic novel series took me completely by surprise. I picked it up on a whim, wanted to give it a try because the cover really grabbed me, the colors are really bright, and I was interested in it, and it looked like a fun fantasy story. But it really took me by surprise by how much I loved it. And that is called Cucumber Quest by Gigi. Cucumber Quest. Now, this is the first one in the series. There's 2 more that the library has. The first one is called The Donut Kingdom. The second one is called The Ripple Kingdom. And the third one is called The Melody Kingdom. Now, what I absolutely love about this series is a few different things. First of all, it's a fantasy series. It's got this very standard fantasy story, which is a young hero has to go on a quest to save the kingdom. That's it in a very vague sense. So the main character is this young boy rabbit named Cucumber, who just wants to go to magic school. That's all he wants to do, and learn how to do magic. Well, the kingdom is now in peril, and his dad, who is kind of a jerk, tells him, no, you can't go to school, you have to go save the world. Come on, get to it. So he goes with his sister, Almond, who Almond is actually the fierce warrior and wants to save the world. And they go on this quest to defeat the evil knight and everything. So what I loved about this book is not only is it a really fun story, it's hilarious. I laughed so hard at this story so many times. So I just want to show you, for example, there's this one moment where Cucumber is greeted by his fairy godmother, who tells him about, oh yeah, you have to go on this quest. I know all about what's going on. And when he says, well, how do you know about this quest and everything? And she pretends like, oh, I'm all seeing. I know all. When really she was actually just peeking in the window. And that's a picture of her face listening in. Like, the expressions that are drawn in the story are just the most hilarious things in the world. I also like that the illustrations are also just absolutely beautiful. The colors are just this beautiful palette of pastels that are just gorgeous. And I laughed so much reading this story out loud. It was just hilarious. I could not believe how funny this series is. So I recommend really all of these. You have to start with the Donut Kingdom first. It's the first book. But I highly recommend this. If you love to laugh, if you love fantasy stories that don't take themselves too seriously, of course, this is a great story to pick up. And that is Cucumber Quest. Fantastic story. Well, that's what we have for you guys today. I hope that they sounded really fun and interesting. If so, please feel free to pick them up from either branch of the Farmington Community Library. Just give us a call, or you can put them on hold and do it that way as well. Thanks so much, friends, and have a wonderful rest of the day.